Good morning, world. Welcome to another episode of Zen Dependently Minded. If you are a new or returning listener, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you're interested in more content like this and podcasts in the future, stay tuned because it's only going to get bigger and better from here. The world is in our hands. Let's do something with it. So on today's episode of MMA Minded, I'm going to just talk about the realistic chances of Dominick Reyes defeating Jon Jones. So I honestly don't think Dominick Reyes has a fair shot. I wouldn't say fair. I just don't think he has a real chance of beating Jon Jones. He's undefeated. He has power. He has knockouts. He has some decent timing. But he's more of a pour-it-on guy after you get rocked by a shot. Knockout artist. And I just think he's not developed enough, and he's never faced someone even close to the caliber of Jon Jones. I think if you were to give him a couple more years, maybe when he's 29, 30, because I believe he's 27, when he's like 30, he might be more developed, but his ground game is very amateur. I don't want to say amateur, but it's not even close to. Nobody can survive Jon Jones on the ground with Jon Jones on the ground. The best wrestler that Jon Jones has faced is either Daniel Cormier or Chael Sonnen. And he dominated Chael Sonnen. He didn't really wrestle with Daniel Cormier too much. He just took him down a couple times. But that being said, Dominick Reyes is not on the caliber of either Chael Sonnen or Daniel Cormier. And if Jon Jones decides to wrestle, which I think he will, throw some wrestling in the mix, he's not gonna sit there and maul him and keep him on the ground like Khabib does, like GSP does. Like Michael Chiesa does, grinding on the cage, but he's going to mix in the wrestling, and it's going to be too much for Dominick Reyes. And once Jon Jones sets the tone in the first and second rounds, Dominick Reyes is going to fear the takedowns, and it's going to be too much for him. And as far as striking, Jon Jones is far superior as a striker. He's just craftier. To say that Dominick Reyes has to put him out, that's honestly, it's a lazy thing to say. The way to beat Jon Jones is to knock him out. That's a way to beat anybody, but that's a hard thing to do. Jon Jones has never been knocked down. I've only ever seen him get stunned once or twice, and that was against, I believe, he was stunned against Vitor Belfort. He was stunned against OSP, and he got stunned when he was coked out of his mind against Alexander Gustafsson. But Dominick Reyes just has his hands too full. He's just a powerful guy, but Jon Jones has faced many powerful guys in his career. The most powerful guy he's fought recently is Thiago Santos, and Thiago really couldn't get any shots off, and he's a much more experienced and, in my opinion, has more power than Dominick Reyes, so I don't think Dominick Reyes has a good chance, and Jon Jones is going to keep that distance. He has, I believe, a 7 or 8 inch reach advantage over Dominick Reyes, despite being same height. Jon Jones' kicking game is much better. His footwork is better. His distance management is just unparalleled. Nobody can do it as good as him, and the closest is Israel Adesanya, but that's a topic for another podcast. But all that being said, I really don't see Dominick Reyes coming out victorious over Jon Jones. I believe Jon Jones is going to grind out a unanimous decision win. He's going to pin him against the cage and show his superiority and domination in the clinch, on the ground a couple times. He's going to throw in some takedowns. He might even show off some submission attempts. But I think he's just going to toy with Dominick and just show him that he's still the big dog. He's the veteran. He's not the young blood anymore. Dominick Reyes is, and Dominick Reyes is just not going to be able to handle him. After Jon Jones' victory over Dominick Reyes, I see Jon Jones possibly toying and keeping everyone on the tip of their toes on whether or not he's going to fight the winner of Corey Anderson and Jan Blachowicz or move to heavyweight. I think Jon Jones wipes the floor with both those fighters. I think he knocks out Corey Anderson and knocks out Jan. So there's not really any competition left in the light heavyweight division. It's possibly the worst division in the UFC is in terms of talent, and I would love to see Jon Jones go up to heavyweight and actually face a challenge, because he hasn't really faced a real challenge since, Thiago Santos was a challenge, but I believe Jon Jones thought he was more ahead in those rounds, or possibly his coaches told him that, but Jon Jones is going to beat Dominick Reyes, and it's going to be convincing fashion. He's going to dominate him because Dominick Reyes is just too inexperienced and hasn't faced anybody of Jon Jones' caliber. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Zen Dependently Minded. Stay tuned because I'm going to be dropping these podcasts every week, at least once a week, and hopefully here soon I'll be doing them more often because there's a lot of MMA news to cover and I have a lot of great things planned. Don't forget, the world is in our hands. Let's do something with it.